Have you ever had a brilliant interview, felt like the job was basically yours, then suddenly silence? What if I told you it could actually come down to that 6-minute phone call that you're not even part of? Here's the sad part. Most referees do not mess up on purpose. They just get caught off guard. So how do you actually make sure that you brief your referee without sounding awkward, controlling, or like you're actually writing answers for them? Top of the morning, everyone. My name is Tshidi and I'm back with another video. Today, I'm going to show you exactly how to brief your referee for a reference call they're about to actually get. So they actually come across as confident, credible, and they actually sound very consistent to exactly what you told the employer. And this matters right now because reference checks are still normally a common filter for some of the employers. And the employers ask these structured questions that can actually verify some of the details that you've actually shared. Now, let me paint you a picture. You ask your old manager to be a referee. They like you, so they say yes. Then 2 weeks later, they get this random call while they're in traffic or between meetings. They panic a little, they answer vaguely, and they forget the role that you actually applied to, and suddenly you sound like two different people. And the recruiter or whoever's taking the reference is thinking, this candidate sounds, like a very good candidate, but something is just not matching up. In this video, I'll give you a simple briefing system plus a quick template that you can actually copy and paste. That will be below on the description for you to actually be able to use a bit later. Quick question before we actually start. What's been the most awkward part of asking for references? Choosing someone, asking them, or worrying that they actually may say something that you didn't want them to say? Now let's get into the first mistake that people make because it normally sets everything on fire. Choosing the right reference for the right job. Yes, you've had some amazing managers, and yes, you've had a lot of people that actually could have done a lot of things. But in some cases, you'll find that some managers are right for certain roles and some managers are good for other roles. Most people choose references like they're actually choosing a football team. Oh, they're senior, they got the fancy title, let me use this person. The truth is, your reference is actually somebody that's telling your story and trying to verify everything that you actually said in the job interview. And here's a quick rule. Pick references who can actually speak to the following. 1, your job up close. They can speak about what you are able to do. 2, the skills the job actually needed. And 3, ideally, recent performance. Somebody that can actually speak about how you performed in your last job. Because reference calls are usually about confirming facts and getting real examples of how you work, not just hearing about the fact that you're a very nice person. And before you even brief your referees, please text them or email them if you have their email addresses. Ask them something as simple as, are you comfortable being a referee for this particular job? And you can actually speak to XYZ. If they hesitate, please don't force it, because a hesitant referee is a slow puncher because they're going to destroy that opportunity for you. And in a second, I'll also show you how to brief them without actually turning it into a whole PowerPoint presentation. Because once they say yes, your next move is what actually separates a smooth reference call from a very messy one. Now that we've spoken about asking for permission, this is how you actually ask for permission properly. Say something like this when you actually do that. Thank you so much for agreeing to actually be my reference. They may contact you within the next week. Is there any number that they can actually use and time frame that you might be looking at that they'll be able to actually reach you on? That's it. That's all you ask. It's very simple, it's clean, and very respectful. Why does this matter? Many employers now try to confirm the authenticity of references, like checking official contact details, not just any random mobile number. Please do not put referees in a weird situation where they are like, why is HR calling me on my personal number? Who gave them this number? And that referee didn't even know that call is coming. Also, from a quick reality check, especially in some countries, many organizations only give factual references, like job title, dates that you were there, because references must be fair and accurate. And sometimes you'll find that the policy of that company does not allow for them to actually give references. My previous employer, for example, in South Africa, was not allowing any references to be given, and even though we also wanted to ask for reference from people. So if your referee works somewhere where it's strict and they're not allowed to actually give references, please do not expect the whole speech, and also give the context to whoever's going to call them. Your briefing needs to work even if you actually cannot confirm other things besides that. Permission, timing, best contact details, and knowing whether they will actually give Detailed or factual references is very, very important. Now that you've actually covered the logistics part of the whole conversation, here's the part that people tend to skip. The actual briefing that makes your referee sound like they were in the interview with you. This is the system. 5 things. Short, powerful, and you can do this on a quick call or send it via email or just in a nice little tidy message. Number 1 is the role you are going for. What role are you looking for? Send the job title, the link, or the screenshot of that job description. Then summarize in 1 sentence, like it's a project manager role focused on stakeholder management and delivery in a hybrid team. Now, because if your referee doesn't know what role it is, they'll normally give very generic answers, and generic answers do not win jobs. Number 2, your headline, strengths in this particular role. Pick at least 3 strengths that actually match the job description. For example, stakeholder management, calm delivery under pressure, clear communication with execs. This helps them stay consistent with what you actually said in that job interview. Number 3, 2 or 3 proof stories. This is the secret sauce. Give them a short, memorable example or remind them of a short, memorable example. Not an essay, just bullet points. Start something with, remember that I led Project X. We were able to deliver this early, reduced the rework by X amount. Or something like, handle difficult stakeholders. Remember so-and-so in our team who was very difficult to deal with, but we still managed to actually keep that relationship and got the sign-off. Or thirdly, you could come with, we managed to improve this process, save this much time, save this much money, and we're able to train the team. Employers ask behavioral questions like, can you describe a time when, because they actually want evidence, not just vibes. And then the 4th thing that you actually need to worry about, the relationship context. Tell them what you said to the recruiters. How do you know this particular candidate? For example, I managed Tshidi directly for the last 18 months. We work closely on X and Y. That immediately boosts credibility. And then number 5, any sensitive areas, handled very honestly. This is important because you do not want to hide things. You don't want to create that surprise. And maybe you left quickly. There's a gap, maybe you changed careers. Brief them with a clean, factual line. For example, I remember that Tshidi left for growth opportunities and took time to go and upskill in X, Y, and Z. That's why your briefing matters, because it helps your referees focus on the same role, same relevant strengths that you've actually spoken about in your interview. Short answers, 1 clear example, be ready for the strengths development areas, and hire again. I'm going to give you a message template that you can actually send out to everybody. You can copy this message, it will be below here, use it for whatever job that you might be looking at. Something that actually is editable and that meets your particular expectation. For example, subject line for this one is reference call briefing for, then you put the job title. Hi, thank you again for being my referee. The company may contact you in the next week or 2 based on a few things. Here's a quick briefing that can make it easy for you. Role title, at what company, and focused on what. Remember that 1 sentence that I spoke about? Number 2, the key strengths they're actually looking for. Strength, you could actually give different examples of strengths. You can have example 1, example 2, example 3, and these strengths are some of the things that this person can actually verify. Number 4, your relationship to me, how we work together and for how long. And then number 5, anything useful for context, short factual thing that you might want them to remember about some of the work that you actually did. Still part of this email, you can say, if you'd like, I can also send you the CV version that I actually used to apply. And please also confirm what's the best number and the time window that, they can actually reach out to you. That's it. It's neat, it's respectful, it's helpful. And please do not spam them with 10 documents. Your referee is not applying for the job too, so you don't want to keep them that busy. That's why I'm saying it's a simple message that you can actually send to them. And finally, let's close this with what you can actually do after the call, because most people forget that part of that matters even more. After a reference call, lock in that relationship. Once again, call back again and say something like, hey, thank you very much for being my referee. I appreciate that you actually took time to do the reference call. I'll keep you updated as to what's happening. That's very professional, and it actually protects that network. And if you get the job, you have to tell them, because knowing that they supported you matters. If you do not get the job, still thank them. Do not interrogate them like, what did you say to them? What did they ask you? Did you actually ruin it for me? Because there is no point in going that route. So today we covered 4 things that I actually wanted us to recap on. Number 1 is pick the right referee for the right story. Number 2, get permission and set logistics properly. What number can they call you on? What times are best for you? Number 3, brief them with a 5-part system. Remember the one that I spoke about, your key strengths, your proof stories, your relationship context, and any sensitive areas that they actually might have handled, and they should be able to handle that honestly. And then number 4, send a short template to them, thanking them about the fact that they've agreed to actually be your referee. Now, your action step is simple. Before your next reference call, please send a briefing message to one of your referees today. I'm curious to also find out, has any of you guys lost opportunities because of a reference call? Or are you worried it actually might happen? Let's share that in the comments. And if you found these tips helpful, please don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to share with as many people as you can. Until we meet again in the next video, peace.